Orange, you glad I made this video? Hello and welcome to Intoxicated Masculinity. If it's Wednesday, we have a cocktail video coming at you. Today we're doing kind of a dual purpose video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Cocuy. We've talked about this on the channel once or twice before. But I got a new one, and this is called Cocuy, and it is supposedly from the place where Cocuy was born. Now, for those who did not see the previous videos, Cocuy is essentially a agave spirit from Venezuela. Obviously, to call something tequila, it has to be from Mexico. Anywhere else it has to be called something else. So, in in Venezuela, it is called Cocuy. So this is just the initial part of the video. What I really want to cover in this video, and we've talked about the margarita before, we're going to talk about the margarita again today, is you we'll see in most margarita recipes, orange liqueur is used kind of interchangeably. Well, there's obviously a lot of orange liqueurs. So what we're going to do is we are going to use our new Cocuy and make a margarita with it, and we are going to use 4 different orange liqueurs. But first, I thought we would start off, because we really like the Magno Cocuy. We're just going to pour ourselves a little bit of each one of these and try them out. Let's first our Magno Cocuy. Let's just get that real crisp, clean nose, and I obviously have sampled this multiple times in the past. Just a very, very crisp, clean spirit. Yeah, it's the same on the palate as on the nose. Sweet, but a very natural sweetness. Clean and crisp, just a very yummy spirit. If you can find a bottle of this, highly recommend it. Now, we'll try our Cocuy. On the nose, it's a little more muted. Not a bad nose, but just not picking up a ton on the nose on this one. Very good palate as well. I think the Magno Cocuy has a little bit nicer palate. There's maybe just a tiny bit of astringency going on there. Not much. It's not like the bad tequilas we get here in the US where it tastes like nail polish remover. But there's just a tiny bit of astringency. Honestly, I think if I was tasting this against just sort of a standard mainline American imported tequila, I probably wouldn't notice that. I think the Magno Cocuy is kind of really impressive in how clean and crisp it is. So I would not take this as a ding against this in particular. So I think both of these are good. This is especially going to be perfectly fine. I think this is fine for sipping, but it's definitely going to be perfectly fine for cocktails. So now that we've sampled our Cocuys, let's make our Venezuelan margarita with our 4 different orange liqueurs. Okay, so we're back and we've got our orange liqueurs. We're going to use a Cocuy, Cocuy for our base spirit, and we've got our lime juice here as well. One of the things I'm going to do different here is I'm not going to put these in a shaker. I mean, we're going just kind of basically for flavor, and I got to make 4 of these, and I think it's going to be fine to just mix these in the glass. So again, we're going to go our base spirit and our lime juice. The only variable here is going to be our orange liqueurs. We're going to talk a little bit about those first. So, if you've been to college, you know just regular old triple sec. In this case, it's the Kuiper. I don't generally like this stuff. I think it comes off as very sweet and kind of unnaturally sweet. This is going to be your lowest end option if you're making a margarita. Next up the chain is going to be dry curacao. This is pretty common. It's just another orange liqueur, but very, very common one. My go-to has always been Cointreau. I think it's not the most expensive option. It's not too bad. I think they're usually around $35, $40 a bottle, something like that. Always been happy with that. And our higher end option is going to be Grand Marnier. Now, I should state this is not the highest end option. Cointreau has a little bit higher end variant, and there are some incredibly high end variants for Grand Marnier. I don't recommend using those in a margarita. I think it's a little bit overkill. But, so we're going to start off, we're going to go down the line, and I am also going to make these at half portions. So each one of these is going to be basically half a full margarita. So we're going to start off with 1/2 ounce of our lime juice. One other thing, I pre-strained this lime juice, so we shouldn't have any problems with pulp in there. One of the main reasons why you want to double strain your margaritas. Okay, there's that. Next, we're going to go with our Cocuy. We're going to go 1 ounce each. Again, this is just basically half a portion. It's what I would normally do in a regular margarita. Alright. So also, just in the sense of not having to dirty a bunch of different stuff, I am going to be using the same jigger for each one of these, but I'm going to wash it out each time. At least wipe it out each time. So on my right, we're going to do these in the same order they're here. This is sort of one of those things you notice about liqueurs where they're very, very sweet. You get a lot of sugar there in the threads, and they kind of be hard to open. So our triple set going into our first one. And I'm not super nervous about getting a lot of crossover between the different liqueurs because they're all orange flavored. So if they all get a little bit of pickup, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. So next, we're going to do our dry curacao. There's also blue curacao too. That's going to be another De Kuyper kind of thing. And not always, but typically. And that's just curacao that's got blue food coloring in it. As you see, our dry curacao has a little bit of color in it, so the cocktail is going to be a little bit different. Also, if you use an aged tequila, like a reposado or an añejo, obviously you're going to have a little bit of different color there as well. So, our Cointreau. If I didn't already say it, again, this is a 1/2 ounce of each one of these. In a normal margarita, you're going to go for 1 ounce. Here, we're just going to go 1/2 ounce because we're doing half portions. And finally, wipe that out. Finally, we've got our Grand Marnier margarita. Once again, it's going to be a little bit different color, a little darker, because this comes is made with aged cognac. All right, now I'm going to get a couple big cubes to put in each one of these so we can chill them down. I'm going to give them a quick stir just to make sure everything's incorporated, and then we will taste them. So we're just going to toss in one big rock in there, starting off with our triple sec. Moving on to our dry curacao. It's interesting, given the color, you can almost kind of tell these apart just based on the coloration. Next is our Cointreau. The Cointreau is very, very clear. I mean, the triple sec is pretty clear too, but it also kind of has a thickness to it, kind of a viscosity. The Cointreau, I think, the Cointreau probably looks the closest to what I picture a margarita looking like, but does it taste like the margarita that I think it should taste like? All right, and I'm going to give these just a couple minutes to chill down, and we'll be right back to taste them. Okay, I've given these a couple minutes to chill down a little bit. They're not going to be quite as cold as they would be if I had shaken them, but honestly, that doesn't bother me because when you let them stay a little bit warmer, we're going to get a little bit more of the character out of the orange liqueur, so I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, let's start off with our triple sec. Okay, the flavor I'm getting is like orange bubblegum. So it is definitely an orange. I mean, all these are going to be orange flavored, but it's, again, it's that thickness, that kind of viscosity. It's not a bad margarita necessarily. I would probably want this chilled down a little bit more if I wanted to drink it sort of on a regular basis. But it does have kind of a thick mouthfeel, and I'm not super happy with that. So, but that's your triple sec. Triple sec is very, very cheap. I mean, you can probably buy 2 bottles of triple sec for any of these other ones. All right, so now we're on to our dry curacao. A lot more natural. Maybe a little bit of oak. I don't know. It's a little richer. It's a little hard to explain. Again, all these taste like a margarita, so I don't want to just say it tastes like a margarita, but it does. That's kind of interesting. It doesn't have the kind of light note that I usually get from a margarita, that kind of light crispness, but it's not in a bad way. It's sort of a little bit more, I don't know, it almost tastes like a very slightly aged margarita. All right, and our Cointreau. That's real good. Nice crisp bite. Now, this is, for lack of a better term, I would say less orangey than the dry curacao, and definitely less orangey than the triple sec, but it's a very natural flavor, whereas the triple sec was very kind of artificial, like I said, orange bubblegum. Okay, now let's do our Grand Marnier. That's pretty good. I've always had this sort of debate between Cointreau and Grand Marnier. I think Cointreau has sort of a very pure orange-only flavor. Here the Grand Marnier is bringing in an aged cognac, so it kind of brings a little bit more to the table. I think it makes for a little bit more of a complex cocktail. I want to go through these once more just to make sure I kind of get all the little bits here and there. Yeah, there's a thickness to it, like a kind of artificial sweet thickness to it. Again, it's not bad. None of these are bad. They're all actually quite good. But there is, if you taste these all kind of next to each other, it does have sort of an artificial sweetness to it and an artificial flavor to it, which I don't really love. Back to our dry curacao. It's pretty good. I like that a little bit better the second time. It's got kind of a richer flavor to it. The Cointreau is bringing kind of a nice crisp orange flavor. This is bringing a little bit more, again, kind of an aged, or I don't want to say oak necessarily, but a little bit oaky kind of a flavor. Yeah, that Cointreau is really nice, bright, sharp. It's I don't know. It's very crisp. There's nothing extra there. It's not a super complex cocktail, but what you get there is very good. All right, and finally our Grand Marnier. Okay, so this one is pretty much out of the running, and I don't think that surprises anybody. These three, you're not going to go wrong. I think if you want a complex cocktail, I would probably go with the Grand Marnier. If you want something that is just kind of crisp and nice poolside, I would go with the Cointreau. The dry curacao is a lot closer to the Grand Marnier. I think the dry curacao is probably the orangiest of all these. Yeah, so if you want a more complex cocktail, go for the Grand Marnier. Nice, crisp, simple, go for the Cointreau. And if you want more orange, then go for your dry curacao. And on that bombshell, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good drink, and have a good day. We're doing orange liqueurs.